Hello everyone, peace be with you. It's me, Sammy. I'm back with a new part to our discussion. So now we're going to be refuting the view that Allah, God, can be seen. We're going to refute the view that God can be seen at all. Last we spoke about the Sufis and their beliefs, as well as yes, we spoke about the Sufis and their the detestable and filthy views that many of them, or that at least a group of them, hold with regards to seeing God. Now we will get into the refutation of those who believe that God can be seen, who, by the way, are that God can be seen in some way. So those people who believe in what is known as the ru'yah are all of Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah, Ash'aris, Maturidis, Salafis, all of the Hanabila, also known as the Athariyah, all of them, they all believe in the ru'yah, that God will be seen on the Day of Judgment, the vision of God, meaning that God will be seen in some way. So the Ash'aris, to be fair, Ash'aris and Maturidis, at least with Ash'aris, Maturidis might be the same. They don't believe that it's going to be a sighting of the eye, but it will be some kind of sighting, some kind of vision, some kind of perception known as sight. In any case, so yes, that's so we're going to be refuting that now. I want to make another point that or not a point, but rather I want to give a quick so these videos are I'm going to make these videos shorter. I'm going to do my best to keep these videos max 20 minutes. So starting when we start. So this video, which right now I can see is almost at 3 minutes, God willing, will end at 23 minutes, but I'll do the best I can to make it end at around 20 minutes. So because it could be that with the long videos, they might come off as intimidating to viewers, and I don't want them to lose the benefit of these videos. So let's get started. I begin in the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful. I praise and I glorify him as he ought to be praised and glorified. Let's begin. So, replies to the proofs of the vision of God in the hereafter. Regarding their proof from the Quran, those who believe that God can be seen, regarding their proof from the Quran, the first and strongest evidence that they bring forth is the verse, faces on that day will be radiant, looking to their Lord. Faces on that day will be radiant, looking to their Lord. Quran chapter 75 verses 22 to 23. Chapter 75 verses 22 to 73. Chapter 75 verses 22 to 23. They argue from various perspectives using this verse. This is the main verse that they use. They argue from various perspectives using this verse. They say that the verse is explicit and does not render a meaning outside of the literal meaning. So they say that this verse literally means what it says. There is no allegorical meaning or some other meaning for this verse. It means what it says explicitly. They say that because the term faces, in Arabic wujuh or wujuhun, faces, they say that because the term faces is used, it can only refer to seeing him, exalted is he, with the eyes. This is because the face is the location of the eyes. The face is the location of the eyes. They say that the vision of the Lord represents the ultimate bliss. The vision of the Lord, seeing God, is the ultimate bliss that the believer would experience in paradise, and that all of the other pleasures of paradise would be pale in comparison to it. Meaning that's basically your ultimate pleasure. The ultimate pleasure you will get and the ultimate reward you will get in paradise, that you can get in paradise, is seeing God, according to them. We can answer each one of their claims from multiple perspectives. However, the best way to approach the import of this verse is by breaking it up into words and phrases. First, we will start with the word faces, wujuh. The term faces is plural form of face, wajh. It's the plural. Obviously, in English, faces is the plural. Although it denotes the front portion of the head, in the literal sense, it also has various other meanings. In the book Kitab Nadarat, or Kitab Nadarat, the author says, this might be a Zaydi source. The author says, therefore, by the way, there's the same book has been released. The same book with, if I'm not mistaken, the sources are much better cited. So there's more information on where the we already have the sources mentioned, but the sources are even more. The authors are more, or rather, the translators are more thorough with their when it comes to the sources. They're more detailed when it comes to the sources. So they give you each and every source. It's especially good. I recommend that book. This book is good, is excellent. The one I'm holding with me right now is excellent. But which is The Establishment of Clear Exposition, a commentary on Al-Hadis, the fundamentals of the religion, by the Imam Rassi Society. So this book is excellent when it comes to sources. But the one that had just recently been released is more detailed when it comes to sources, at least based on what I understand. When it comes to the sources, it is more detailed when it comes to sources as to from where did perhaps, like, where did, like, scholars, in what book, which scholar, etc. In any case, so first we will start with the word faces, wujuh. The term faces is plural form of face, wajh. Although it denotes the front portion of the head, in the literal sense, it also has various other meanings. In the book Kitabun Nadarat, or Kitab Nadarat, the author says, therefore, face, according to the customary usage of the Arabs, so face according to the customary usage of the Arabs, can be found in the annals of the dictionaries of language. Our Imams, upon them be peace, the Imams of the progeny of the Prophet, peace be upon them. Nothing wrong with saying peace be upon them to anyone. It's just wishing peace upon people. That's all it is. So our Imams, he says, our Imams, upon them be peace, concur with this meaning of face when it relates to the exalted statement, but the face of your Lord will remain, the possessor of majesty and nobility. So in the Quran, there is a verse that says, but the face of your Lord will remain, the possessor of majesty and nobility, God. The word face is intended to denote a double meaning. As mentioned in the dictionaries of language, this can be witnessed by the statements of the Arabs. It is the face of the opinion. Huwa wajhur ra'i. Wajhur ra'i means literally the face of opinion. What it really means is, that's what it means literally. But wajhur ra'i means this is my point of view, you can say. Or wajhus sawab. Wajhus sawab, it is the right direction. Wajhus sawab. So wajh, in this case means that direction. In one case, direction. In another case, a kind of a face of opinion, meaning one point of view, one side of an opinion. Wajh. The meaning of this is the opinion itself and the direction itself. So the wajh is kind of like you can call it a helper in a kind of helping word. Wajhur ra'i, because the opinion doesn't have a face. Does the opinion have eyes? And I mean, metaphorically, sure. We can write a poem or sing a song and say that, my opinion's face is a beautiful one, meaning I have a good opinion. Sure. But in Arabic, it's said, wajhur ra'i and wajhu sawab, indicating the what's right, sawab meaning correctness, and ra'i meaning opinion, indicating the opinion itself or the sawab itself, the correctness itself. The right direction, meaning the direction itself, but the right direction, not the wrong direction. Sawab meaning the right direction, the correct direction. So I just want to see really quickly. So my understanding is when they say that face is not when they say when the Imams concur with this meaning of face, when it relates to the Exalted's statement, but the face of your Lord will remain, it's not referring to a literal face. Its meaning is your Lord will remain. That's what they agree on. That your Lord will remain. Nothing will remain except his face. Meaning that nothing will remain except your Lord. This is a kind of speech in the Arabic language. Just as any language has its figures of speech and ways of, it has its own allegorical meanings. Every language has certain idioms, certain ways, certain ways of speech that are not literal. Certain forms of speech which are not intended to be literal. Arabic is the same way. And in today's case, classical Arabic. We're dealing with Arabic that was the Arabic spoken by people over 1,400 years ago. That's over a millennium ago. So, in any case, language is very, very important. If you're going to study a subject, when it comes to related to the Quran, or study whatever is related to it. But make sure language is on your list of things to learn. Language is very, very important. The means of communication as well as communication itself is very important, because if communication is key. So, language is very important. You can miss major points if language is not understood. Everyone has the ability to learn language. If it's a bit difficult, there are ways for you to learn to make things easier. Don't worry. Your mind is capable of learning language and its concepts and rules and such. Therefore, the word face can mean the person themselves. The word face can mean the persons themselves, the person themselves. This is not unknown in the language, as was mentioned in the above quotation. Nor is this uncommon in the Quran. The Exalted says, some faces on that day will be humiliated, work heavy and weary. They will enter the fire. Weary. They will enter the fire. So some faces on that day will be humiliated, work heavy, and weary. So all of this will happen just to the faces? Work heavy and weary? They will enter the flame. Only the faces? What about everything else? So they will enter the flame. That's from chapter 88, verses 2 to 4. Chapter 88 of the Quran, verses 2 to 4. By the way, when God says, but the face of your Lord will remain, the possessor of nobility, of majesty and nobility, that's from the Quran, chapter 55, 26 to 27. Again, chapter 55, verses 26 to 27. Okay? Let's continue. If one was to interpret faces to mean just the front portion of the head, then how would the face enter the flame and not the rest of the body? How would the face enter the flame and not the rest of the body? So when people get punished, just their faces get punished? Come on. And not the rest of the body? Question mark, exclamation mark. That's what's there. Therefore, it is clear that the term face denotes the people themselves and not just the front portion of their heads. Not just this. Just the face. Just your face is touching the fire? No. Okay. Let's finish we'll finish up here. As for their statement that faces denotes looking, because the face is the location of the eyes, we say that this is not a firm proof because one does not see with the face. One sees with the eyes. If God wanted to convey the meaning that they want, He would have said, eyes on that day would be looking at their Lord. If He were to say that, then the literal meaning would be a lot more plausible. If they were to say the eyes, not faces. You don't see with your face. My face saw a most stunning sight. No, my eyes. Sure, poetically, it can you can use that in poetry. But just because you can use it in poetry does not mean that this kind of language would work when it comes to basic grammar. If you say that, well, Sammy, you mentioned allegory, you mentioned, metaphors. Yes, absolutely. But the context and the language, when you combine them, it just doesn't add up. It doesn't add up. Yes, we believe in allegory. Absolutely, but it doesn't add up. Let's see here. But I will give you an explanation in the following video regarding the eyes. However, I'll give you one right now quickly. Even if God did say eyes, they didn't mention this. I don't think so. Even if God did mention eyes on that day will see Him, it still wouldn't literally mean it. Why? Because we have to make sure, we have to understand. So eyes are really going to see God. And then we would have to go back to the previous sections where we talked about how God cannot be seen and for what reasons. So it would have to be a metaphor or there would have to be an allegorical meaning behind it. So let's continue. However, because the Almighty used the term faces and not eyes, it opens up the possibility of a metaphorical meaning. It opens up a possibility of a metaphorical meaning, even if the word eyes was used, still it would be metaphorical. We'll talk more about that next time. Next time or another time in this while we're on this topic. Furthermore, we also refer back to the verse we quoted. Some faces on that day will be humiliated, work heavy and weary. They will enter the flame. That was chapter 88 verses 2 to 4. Chapter 88 verses 2 to 4. So they say, furthermore, we also refer back to the verse we quoted. Some faces on that day will be humiliated, work heavy, and weary. They will enter the flame. If the literal face was meant because the face is the location of the eyes, one could interpret this verse to mean that only the faces of the disbelievers would enter the fire. Such an interpretation is untenable. One would say that only the faces would enter the fire. Only your face will go to hell. You're going to go to hell, but it's your face, to be more specific. That's not what's happening. In any case, we'll end it here. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you on the continuation of this refutation of what has a bad reputation. It sounds like the title to a book. Usually in Arabic books usually have rhymes. In any case, I'll see you guys next time. I hope you guys learned something. We will be back next time. As you can see, we're going to keep videos short, God willing. Okay? Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time, God willing. Be well.